Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
Welcome.
This is Star Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
This is Star Radio UK. 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 This is Star Radio
Welcome.
UK. This is Star Radio UK.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
Are you ready to turn it up? In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
Well, as we prepare for the evening, I say good evening once again to all our listeners and viewers from around the world, and welcome to Star Radio UK. It is the Wednesday edition of the program, and I say good evening and welcome. We're just some few minutes running behind schedule, but as we say all the time, we're here to serve the community while we're still waiting for the full signal into the studio where we're transmitting tonight. I would like to welcome those of you that have joined us early as well. Once again, I say good evening and welcome.
This is Star Radio.
Welcome.
Worldwide, online 24/7.
This is Star Radio UK.
It is the Star Radio UK.
This is Star Radio UK.
Well, I say good evening once again and welcome to Star Radio. I'd like to appreciate my producer, Mr. Frank David, and Mr. Archie. And it is still the Star Radio UK. As we say all the time, it is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
This is Star Radio UK.
Welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
It is welcome as we prepare the evening. I'd like to appreciate everyone that is joining us. We're 20 minutes behind schedule, but we will catch up, and I can assure you that we will be able to give you everything, and nothing will be missed this evening. So make sure you sit back and hold tight. We don't want you to drop. The quote of the day today, I'll be telling you the quote of the day as well. We are now on the day called the 8th day of the month of November. The month of November is traveling very, very fast as well. But for now, as we prepare, I say good evening and welcome once again to those of you that have joined us and those that will be joining later as well. Yes, I think we have the signal now. I'd like to say thank you so much to my producer, Mr. Frank David, and Mr. Archie for bringing this program on again. It is a Wednesday edition, and I'm going to be telling you everything we need to know. Sit back and let us say to those of you that have joined us, I say
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio
Broadcasting worldwide,
UK.
online 24/7.
well, if it's the first time you're listening to me, I would like to appreciate you and welcome you into the studio. It is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Star Radio UK, Niger Voices, comes up every Wednesday. Niger Voices on the Star Radio UK every Wednesday. So if this is going to be the first time you're joining me, sit back, and I'm going to be driving you home. It's going to be a fantastic evening. There's a lot to discuss. There's a lot happening in Nigeria. There's a lot I want to share with you. But for now, I say to those of you,
Welcome.
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
well, I'm going to try to start this way. It's been few months. I've not been right here, but we've been transmitting, all the way from the North London studio. And each time we are right here in the studio is a different energy. And I'll first foremost say to those of you that have joined us this evening, thank you so much for being, part of the program. This evening, there's a lot I want to talk about. There's a lot happening in Nigeria. There's a lot that needs to be told by so many Nigerians that believe that Nigeria is still working. I'm not one of those that believe Nigeria is working, but the election has been completed. We are now having a new government in place. President Bola Tinubu, as I speak to you right now, is heading towards Saudi Arabia, and I'll be telling you why the president is making his way to Saudi Arabia. But one thing I would like to first appreciate is my viewers, our listeners on this platform called the Star Radio UK. Those of you that have been following us back to back, those of you that are aware that we are doing our ultimate best, to make sure that we bring to you what is happening, most importantly within the African and the Caribbean community right here in UK. The weather is very, very good. The transportation system, like I was saying this morning, sometimes you travel on the overground, and your expectation is things work very well, but the train, the overground that I was meant to get on, eventually stopped working. So there was a lot of mixed up. I'll be telling you all about that. It's just 23 minutes past 1800 hours. We're gonna be switching right here, those of you watching right now, because we need to move things around, so bear with us, but we won't stay too long before everything comes back again. One thing I want us to remember is that this is a platform that brings to you the happenings, but let me start with this. While we prepare the ground this evening, there's a lot of what I want to share, with my listeners, my viewers. I have so much I want to discuss with you tonight, and I want you to make sure that you are also going to be, contributing. Keep the comment coming. I'll be reading those comments as well, and I'll also be sharing those comments, with the other platforms that we are also streaming on as well. So it's going to be a very, very busy night. I'm sure you all understand. But one thing I can assure you, not the assurance for President Muhammadu Buhari, he failed Nigerians. The country has gone into comatose. But before that, let's go into this short advert, because December 2nd, the Yorubas are going to be gathering together right here in London, and they want me to share some information, with our viewers, our listeners, and most importantly, if you're living in UK. So you might just want to listen to this, and you might also be benefiting from that as well. So I want you to listen to this, and then when I come back, we will start going into all the programs that we have tonight.
Oòduà Progressive Union ẹgbẹ́ tẹ̀síwájú Oòduà ẹgbẹ́ tó ń gbàsà ti ṣẹlẹ̀ Oòduà lárugẹ ẹ̀ka ti Maryland American pẹ̀lúpọ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá àtàtà síbi àjọ àṣà wọn tọdún yìí eléyìí tí ó wáyé lọ́jọ́ àìkú ọjọ́ kẹta oṣù kejìlá ọdún 2023 1816 Liberty Road Randallstown Maryland 21133 United States of America làyájọ́ àṣà náà ti wáyé níbi àjọ àṣà tọdún yìí lẹ́yìn tó máa jẹ̀gbádùn ewì ijó ìbílẹ̀ ìlú bàtà ìlú gángan tí wọ́n sì máa ṣàfihàn gbogbo tó jẹ mọ́ṣà àti ṣẹlẹ̀ Yorùbá bákan náà lẹ́gbẹ́ Oòduà Progressive Union máa fàmì ẹ̀yẹ dáhùn yàn lọ́la tí ló wọn kó lórí Yorùbá kan yóò sì máa kọlù sáwọn èèyàn gbàdé táwọn sì máa káwọn ọmọ alédè Yorùbá ẹwà kájọ gbàsà àti ṣe Oòduà lárugẹ lọ́jọ́ kẹta oṣù kejìlá ọdún 2023 aago mẹ́rin ìrọ̀lẹ́ tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ àyájọ́ àṣà Oòduà Progressive Union ẹ̀ka Maryland America fún tòní yìí ó máa loud gan ẹ̀ má mísì ẹ̀ olùkéde olóyè Dixon Olúgbòjì tí gbogbo èèyàn mọ̀ sí alẹ́pẹ̀pẹ̀ Baltimore Maryland USA Oòduà gbẹ̀wá o.
And let's go with the English version.
Oòduà Progressive Union Maryland chapter is at it again. Oòduà Progressive Union Maryland chapter, a social-cultural organization committed to the advancement of Yoruba social-cultural values, preservation of the Yoruba language, heritage and beliefs, invites all, most especially sons and daughters of Oòduà, to this year's Heritage and Cultural Day. Date is Sunday, 3rd December 2023. Venue 9816 Liberty Road, Randallstown, Maryland 21133, United States of America. Time 4 p.m. Featuring Ewe chanting, Bata token drum display, Yoruba cultural dance and awards presentation, while a popular Yoruba musician will spice up the event. Come and witness a display of the culture that stands the test of time on Sunday, 3rd December 2023 in America. Oòduà Progressive Union's Heritage and Cultural Day. You can't afford to miss it. Oòduà Gbewao. Announcer Chief Dixon Olugboji aka Alepepe of Baltimore, Maryland, USA.
And that is so much happenings also right here in London. There will be a lot of activities that will be coming up as well. Let me welcome every one of you that have joined us this evening. This is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. And like I said, there is a lot happening in Nigeria. But let's start with this. We'll come back again.
Oh yes, it's Yoruba Thanksgiving Day, organized by Yoruba UK Central Office. On the 2nd of December 2023, Yoruba community will be holding a Thanksgiving program where we shall be meeting in person. Yoruba dignitaries, leaders, men and women of substance. This Thanksgiving is not only meant to promote Yoruba unity, harmony and to speak in one voice, but also to give a worthy of thanks to Almighty for the privilege and opportunity so far. Yoruba Thanksgiving Day scheduled for Saturday, 2nd of December 2023 from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. UK time at Abadasha Asham College, Pips Road site, Pips Road, London, SE14 5SF UK. 135 Pips Road, London, SE14 5SF. Convened and fully supported by Yoruba UK Central Office, Koiki Media, Bedu Magazine, Dr. Zabi Talk Show, YWC Worldwide, Sanfis FM. Tickets is totally free. Just go to Eventbrite, check for the first Yoruba community in UK. Meet and greet Thanksgiving. Click on the link to register yourself and as many as you want to come along with you, free of charge. Please note, our ticket is based on first come, first serve. For more enquiries, sponsor or advert placement, send us an email via acco@yukgb.org, or you can call or WhatsApp us on 073 671 52852 or 073 940 56266. Also 077 609 86460. Yoruba Thanksgiving Day, bringing unity to the Yoruba nation. Announcer, Yoruba World Media.
And I say once again,
Welcome.
Are you ready to turn it up? In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
and I come back into the program. First and foremost, let's say thank you so much to the sound engineer, the team that are working behind to make sure that we can come on air every Wednesday. Good evening to those of you that have joined us and those that will be watching the program later on as well. My name is Olayomi Koiki. I'm going to be your host, and we have ample of time. It's just exactly 6:30 p.m. local time in London. It is exactly 7:30 back in Nigeria. And most importantly, I say to those of you that are with me right now, good evening and welcome to the transmission. Let's start this way. There's a lot happening in Nigeria, and it seems that we just have to catch up with some of those happenings as well. I'm going to be taking you through certain things. We'll be discussing a lot, but tonight is all about the Niger Voices that comes up every Wednesday, right here on the transmission of the Star Radio UK. Nigeria, we have a president. After the election, Nigerians are probably now asking a lot of questions. I've seen many Nigerians that are complaining, and I'm trying to find out why are they complaining, because the election has now been concluded. What you should be expecting now is governance. You want the government to do what is right. You want the government to make sure that the government can provide those services as expected. So the question then is, do we have these governments that can do such? Do you think that the present administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has anything to offer? The president is is on his way to Saudi Arabia. I'll be telling you more about that. But let's look at the quote of the day, and it says, difficulties. A lot of you are experiencing so much pain at this particular time. Difficulties that seems like giant obstacle to you are pebbles to God. His power can toss them aside with far less effort than would take you to go over or around them. There's different gods around the world. It could be the traditional gods of the Yorubas, the traditional gods of the 350 ethnic groups in Nigeria. Or it could be the god of the Christian, the god of the Muslims. What about those that doesn't believe in God? How do we handle such cases? And this is why we are saying to many of you that there is a lot happening, and it is our responsibility as people to continue to seek and ask for peace around the world. I am not sure whether we're going to see peace if people are not allowed to hear their voice. So when we look at the current happenings in Nigeria tonight, I start to ask questions. We start to become worried. The present Nigeria that we know some few years back is not what it is anymore. The poverty is growing very fast. The federal government says they are doing everything even after the subsidy has been removed. I am not too comfortable to tell you that, the government is honest, because the same APC ruined Nigeria under the former administration, President Muhammadu Buhari and the Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Once again, I say to those of you that have joined us,
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
you can follow us on the X. You can also download the Star Radio UK apps, and the most important thing is you can also follow us on the social media. Remember to follow us, subscribe and share as well. I've been following a particular news where the Senate urged the federal government to intervene in the Israel-Hamas war. And I'm trying to ask questions. There is already genocide going on in Nigeria. And I'll be telling you a little bit more about that. The genocide indicated that Christians in Nigeria today are likely to be killed. Many Christians are likely to be killed. Why is that? News source says that the old and the new Naira notes remain illegal tender. I'm going to be reviewing everything, and I'm going to be touching on so much this evening. But if you're new to this platform, this is also called the Star Radio UK, and every Wednesday it is called the Niger Voices.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
All around the world.
10, 9, 8, 7.
Those of you that are listening to us on other platforms,
Welcome.
I say,
Welcome.
as we continue to discuss the happenings in Nigeria, I'm asking the question to many Nigerians tonight. Are you worried? Are you concerned that the current situation in Nigeria is becoming difficult for you? Are you one of those that are concerned? Are you one of those that are probably not concerned? You just, you think that things will change. What is your take on the current happenings in Nigeria today? Once again, remember that the Niger Voices talks about the current affairs. Good evening to you, Yoruba Niyi, and welcome once again to those of you that have joined us on all the platforms this evening. My name again is Olayomi Koiki. Good evening to you, Mrs. Grace Olushoto, and I hope that the little one will get ill as quickly as possible. Shout out to Mrs. Bimileke, and we pray for you and the family. And we say those of you that are going through difficulties around the world, we send our condolences and our prayer for those of you that have lost your loved ones. We are now the 8th day of November, Wednesday, and that means that this is the Niger Voices coming up to you every Wednesday. Many Nigerians are asking questions, but they seem not to be getting the answer. So my answer is, the election has been completed. Good evening to you, Mrs. Fatima Mustafa, and welcome once again to Waris Jinodu. And I welcome you all on the TikTok. Kentos Abebi, my beautiful auntie that is working hard, and we pray that Eledumare continue to protect the sons and daughters of Yorubas around the world. At exactly 7:30, we will be discussing everything you need to know about the right to self-determination. But right now, I am asking the federal government, or the Senate wants the federal government to also intervene in the current crisis at the Middle East between Hamas and Israel. What about the one currently happening under their nose? There is genocide taking place in Nigeria as I speak to you right now. And I'll be sharing a little bit more insight of that. According to the report I was given this morning, and I really want to highlight on that. Welcome to you, Mrs. Felicia Ajagbe, and the rest of you that have joined me on all the platforms across the world this evening. Are you worried being a Christian in Nigeria today? Because the report is not a very great one. The report coming out of Nigeria says, and I quote once again,
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK.
Nigeria, most dangerous place to be a Christian. Nuruddin Ajani Busari, good evening and welcome to you. Good evening to those of you on the MixLR, and welcome once again to all our viewers and listeners from around the world. Good evening to you, Ogumola Abiodun, Comrade Plan B. Good evening to you, Alao Baba, and right in the studio, we are sending our greetings to every one of you.
Welcome.
And is the welcome to those of you that are new to the platform. I am Olayomi Koiki. Why is it difficult to resolve the current situation of terrorism in Nigeria? Are you aware that we have 12 northern states that are running under Sharia? Nigeria, most dangerous place to be a Christian according to the ICC. What do we know? A non-partisan Christian organization called the International Christian Concern has included Nigeria among the most dangerous places for Christians in the world. That is a very sad development. This has been going on since 2011 after the killings and the disruptions of lands by the ISWAP, ISIS, Boko Haram. And I'm asking again this evening, is there an hidden agenda to all these killings and land grabbing? We have seen continuously why Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho is asking that those criminals, Fulani terrorists, cannot live with us. But it seems that the Northern Consensus Forum are also sending a message that they will block the food coming into the southwest. Waris Jinadu says, and I quote, "To be a Christian in up north Nigeria is very dangerous. We've seen the killings in Benue State, Port Harcourt. We've seen killings of Christians. Deborah was lynched to death and burned by a Muslim fanatics. I am not sure the case has been resolved." I am asking again this evening, are you worried and concerned being a Christian in Nigeria? Let's leave that and come back again to the next area I want to talk about. The US and the UK are sending security alert to their citizens in Nigeria. Are you concerned as a citizen of Nigeria? This is coming from the US Embassy and Consulate in Nigeria. The same security alert has been issued in Uganda. I understand many of you will be traveling and no one can stop that. But you must remain on a low profile. Very, very low profile. That is the message from the US government. Security alert, elevated threat to major hotels in Nigeria's larger cities. This was put out just less than 5 days ago. Location, major hotels in Nigeria, larger cities. Event, elevate threat to major hotels in Nigeria by the terrorists. The US government is aware of credible information that there is an elevated threat to major hotels in Nigeria larger cities. The Nigerian security services are working diligently to counter the threat. Do you believe that? The US Department of State advised US citizens to consider this information when arranging or lodging or visiting major hotels in Nigeria. These are some of the advice which might be of benefit to Nigeria. The federal government have come out to tackle this, that this such announcement would not bring investors into Nigeria. The question is, would any investor invest in a country that Christians have been massacred? That is a question I'm asking tonight. Actions to take. You must exercise vigilance at major hotels if you're traveling to Nigeria anytime from now. You must also be alert to your surroundings. Keep a low profile. That is just an advice for the benefit of our listeners this evening on the...
This is Star Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
The best radio show. The best radio show.
This is Star Radio UK.
I say good evening once again, and we go straight into more conversation. Remember that difficulties that seem like giant obstacles to you are just pebbles to God. We are not here to promote God for you, but it is entirely up to you to believe in something, whether your traditional religion, whether Christianity, whether Muslim, Hindu, Buddhism, whatever your faith, even those of you that have no faith, whatever the problem is, no matter how big those problems might look like, the Yoruba self-determination campaign might be a big problem to some, but it is just a pebble in the eyes of the Yoruba gods, or the Christianity God, or the Islamic God, depending on which one you believe in. But this evening I'm asking the question, how do we continue to solve the problem in Nigeria? Do you think that Nigeria can survive another 60 years? I don't think so. Nigeria should be dismantled, dissolved, just like we had it during the Soviet Union, just like we had it at the Yugoslavia. Those countries that have come out from Yugoslavia are doing very well, and they are moving at the speed of sound. 200 million Nigerians today are struggling because of the negligence of any government. There's another one that we're going to be talking about, which is the major discussion tonight, and I'll be telling you a little bit more about that. Tonight is all about the security of Nigerians and what the government should be doing to protect many Nigerians before it becomes another 7/7 as we saw in London in 2005, when 55 innocent citizens were murdered in the UK capital, London. 770 people died got injured. 2005, July the 7th. The security alert that is coming from the US and the UK government might be something that you need to take and put right inside your wallet. Don't joke with it. Last week, between Monday and Tuesday, 40 innocent people died in the hands of the Fulani terrorists. They are becoming very strong, and it seems that the government of this President Bola Tinubu is not doing much to deal with the problem. At exactly 1900 hours, my topic for this evening will focus again on security. As we say all the time on our platforms and when we are live here on the Star Radio UK network, thank you so much, Free to Teen. So nothing was done, I believe you said about the Deborah. I'm not too sure which one you were saying. Allow Baba said that is why they always advise their citizens. American government see Nigeria more than Nigerian government. Thank you so much, Allow Baba. For those of you that are not conversant with our MixLR, is just like an audio version where you can listen to us Monday to Sunday. But remember, you can also follow us on the Star Radio UK, and I welcome once again those of you that are joining us, and good evening to my beautiful mom and every mothers and fathers around the world.
Welcome.
This is Star Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
The best radio show. The best radio show.
In your car,
At work.
at home.
On your
Best
smartphone.
radio show.
So my producer, I say good evening to you and to Professor Adebanji Akitoye, the leader of the Yoruba Self-Determination. We're going to be telling you everything you need to know just before 8 p.m. tonight, and what you need to be telling you when it comes to the Yoruba Nation campaign. Let's go back again to see why should we be concerned when a sitting governor is giving us some kind of advice that we should not joke with. 1 week ago, good evening to Ashake TV show, and I say this is the way I greet all our media: Yoruba World Media, Independent Media, Yoruba Home-Based Media, Triple DRS. I was in Woolwich yesterday. I was expecting to see you, but it seems that you've gone to work. I say to Ashake TV,
Welcome. Welcome. Welcome.
it's a double welcome. Akano Lawrence said this is the right time for us to activate campaign. We should not wait for another. We should start the campaign right now. Remember that we are streaming on multiple platforms tonight. As we're streaming on the sister broadcast, we're also live in the studio right in London. The weather is very cold. I wasn't happy with the service of the London underground, the overground rather. And let me welcome those of you that are watching us as well on the Star Radio UK. Say good evening, and I welcome you all. Remember to also follow us and also subscribe. Good evening to you, Mrs. Fatima Mustafa Ekale. At exactly 7:30, quarter to 8, it will be more of discussion on the Yoruba self-determination. For those that are Africans that are not conversant with the current situation of the insecurity in Nigeria, when this headline came out last week, October ending, I thought maybe it might be a joke. But looking at the life of what has taken place in Nigeria since 2011 to date, just as the Christians have been massacred, Borno State Governor is now telling the world that Boko Haram may wipe Nigeria off the map. Zulum raises alarm about insurgency. The reason why the governor of Borno State is speaking out is because we have to stop the younger ones from being recruited into Boko Haram ISWAP. Otherwise, in the near future, the entire Nigeria will be wiped off the map. Should we be concerned, or should we just let it pass? Are you one of those that believe in these kind of prophecies? There's so much IDP camp across Nigeria today, mostly in the northeast, and these camps are now being used as a recruitment ground for Boko Haram, ISWAP, and ISIS. And that is why Governor Zulum is raising the alarm right now. Let's go into it. According to the Borno State Governor, Professor Babagana Zulum has raised the alarm that the Boko Haram insurgency is threatening to consume the nation if the humanitarian crisis in Northeast is not contained. Good evening to you, Mr. Joseph Shonde. I am following you from the Spanwood, British Columbia, Canada. What is the weather like? I'm sure it is very cold. Good evening to you, Mr. Tunde Dauda. Good evening to you, Mrs. Kemi Bello. Good evening to Iwakweluewa, Yeyoge, Tajuddin, and Lowonle. Good evening to you, every one of you that have joined us on the TikTok. Shout out to the Koiki Media team, and I hope Osun State is treating you very well. Mrs. A with a British flag, I say good evening to you, and the rest of you that have joined us on all the platforms. Maize Gold, please, Mr. Koiki, there's an information that these Bororo are planning to attack many church in Ogun State. That is another heads up coming again from one of those that have intelligence. The US is aware that there is going to be an attack on Nigeria, but they're not too sure which of the hotel. It could be any of the major hotels according to them. But Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum, says the continuous existence of IDP camps. Mr. Abiodun Monday, good evening to you. Not cold, it is frozen. Wow. I love Canada. It is only in Canada that you throw the hot water and it can freeze within 10 seconds. We hope that most of you will survive as you continue to live there and work there, and as you continue to settle down with the next generation. And we hope that one day the Yoruba nation will have their own country and some of us can start thinking of going back home. How many of you would love to relocate back to Nigeria with the present situation of Nigeria? How many of you would love to relocate to Nigeria? I would not want to relocate to Nigeria because Nigeria, as we speak right now, is not safe. And that is a fact. You might not be happy with that, but that is the reality. Nigeria is not a safe place, but that does not mean that you cannot travel to Nigeria. You just have to keep low profile and make sure that your surroundings is well and vigilant as well. Olayomi says, I will not relocate. Some people might relocate. I saw a name that says Hilda. I'm not too sure whether it's the same Hilda that was the chef, because she has lost a world record for the longest cooking. That has been taken away by the Irish chef in Japan, and Hilda Bassey is no longer the longest world record for cooking. Once again, a very good evening to my beautiful mom and the rest of you. Triple DRS says that would be a suicider to relocate to Nigeria. Okpeyemi Ajolayo. Good evening and welcome once again. Mrs. Sankro says, when Yoruba Nation stand, I will be the first person to relocate. No, I will be the first person, not you. I will be the number one to relocate. Apart from not safe, inflammation as well. Mrs. Yeti Queen, thank you so much for joining us, and the rest of you. Keep the comment coming, I'll be reading it. Let's talk about the Borno State. And I want to read as many of your comments so that we can be able to balance the conversation. Once again, to my producer, Mr. Frank and Mr. Archie, I welcome you. Friend Bryce said, Russia is also cold like Canada. And you have a lot of gas in Russia, but it seems that the European countries are no longer interested in the gas coming out. I hope you can still hear me, those of you on this platform. Please, if you can hear me, and if you cannot, let me know. Once again, the quote for the day says, difficulties. Whatever the difficulty that you're facing right now, whatever it is, I don't know, you tell me. Whatever the difficulties that seems like a giant obstacle to you are just like a pebbles in the eye of the God, depending on what God you are also serving, regardless of those gods. Whether it is the Eledumare, whether it's the God of the Jesus Christ, whether it's the God of the Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Hindu, the Buddhism, We have about 1,000 religion. Please do not fight because of religion. Also, his power can toss them aside with far less effort that would take you to go over or around them. 2 minutes before 7 p.m. or 2 minutes before 1900 hours. If you're in Nigeria, definitely it is 2 minutes before 8 p.m. Shout out to those of you in America, and I say easy dollar shout out to you and the rest of those of you that are still with us on the platform. According to Professor Babagana Zulum, the Borno State governor, says the continuous existence of the IDP camps in local government areas of Borno State is a potential time bomb, as they serve as a recruitment ground for Boko Haram, ISWAP and ISIS. That for me is a big alarm that needs to be talked about. Good evening to you, God Last Brown, and once again shout out to everyone. To those of you, Ashabi, good luck, good evening to you. Oyenugade doing, and I mention all those names with a lot of courtesy. And if you're just new to the platform, I say this is
Star Radio UK.
And I can also welcome you like this.
Welcome.
1 minute before 1900 hours, as I continue to talk about the potential time bomb. Should we be concerned that there's so many children that are giving birth up north and they're not well taken care of? I'm sure a lot of you know the Alimajiri. Also, how did we get to a stage? This world is becoming something else entirely, and I want to touch on something else briefly. Again, another security concern, especially those of us that lives in Nigeria and you're looking to get someone to help you at home. In UK, you will not be able to work with certain people without going through the disclosure DRS. I hope I got it right. Yeah, I remember now. Very, very important that DBS. Thank you so much, Mr. Femi Kasali. It seems that what we have done for so many years in Nigeria is that, please, this is my family friend. This is a friend that doesn't have something to do. Can you take them on board and let them be a bit of your house help, running a little bit of errand, looking after your children? And it is now becoming something that every one of us must not joke with this conversation. Thank you so much, a beautiful mother, Mrs. Yeti Queen, DBS. That was what I was looking for. I've done so much DBS in the last 25 years I've lived in UK. DBS needs to be done. But a country that doesn't, Larry Lamina, good evening to you. Welcome those of you that are watching us on the backup channel as well. A country like Nigeria that doesn't have a strong database, should we now say that Nigeria is a potential time bomb? Good evening to you, Mr. Oye, cobest@gmail.com. Thank you so much. Good evening to you, my mother Abosede. Kò sí ọ̀nà mìíràn ojú Yorùbá Nation náà ni. Kò sí ọ̀nà mìíràn ju Yorùbá Nation lọ. We'll be telling you about everything you need to know about Yorùbá Nation, self-determination. Mr. Femi Kasali said there's also SC. I'm not sure what that means. SC for working in certain civil service jobs as well. It's only in Nigeria that we just say, take it, help me to look after her. This next story or this next conversation is a very sad one because somebody died. I'm sure some of you must have heard about it, but for the benefit of our listeners, because remember that we are also
the best radio show
all around the world.
Because we are all around the world, that means that whatever is happening in Africa, many people might not know what is happening in Nigeria. Police arrested a 14-year-old girl over the death of a FUT Mina lecturer. Good evening to you. It is King AY. Shout out to those of you. Mrs. Iyabo Olubumi. Once again, good evening to you. Iwa Peluewa. Mrs. Grace Olushoto. Good evening and welcome. Mr. Joseph Shonde says, Borno is a very peaceful place before because I follow my late mother carry kola nut from Shagamu to Meduguri market during school holidays in the 90s. I know you're no longer in Nigeria. You will never do such a trip again. Mrs. Yeti says, I check my employer every year to make sure that they have DBS. In UK, you must have DBS. Especially Omilani Pelumi Jide, good evening and welcome. Ashabi, good luck. Kabo Soyoto, Ojo Ayodele Ayonio. A mother, Olajumoke Ajoke TJ. If you put a comment out, I'll probably pick you up. If I haven't mentioned your name, do not get angry with that. Good evening to those of you. Sahid Junaid. Shout out to Free to Teen and shout out to Innovate that says to me, Mr. Koiki, I watch you and also with my wife and children. Grandma Adebin Pawoni, I hope it is your granddaughter's birthday and I say happy birthday to everyone in the month of November. Mrs. Bukola Ogumodede Majet for Care. These are cleaning services in UK in case you need their services. Kasim and the rest of you that have joined us, welcome once again. And maybe for the third, fifth, seventh, eighth time I say
welcome.
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
Alaja Ironulobade all the way in Manchester. Shout out to you and welcome to the program. I am talking about security in Nigeria. That is the most important aspect. Without a constant 24 hours electricity, you cannot even say to yourself, I would have a CCTV and I can monitor what is happening in my surrounding. Many businesses today are operating with just CCTV. You can monitor if the staff is going to steal money, and I'll tell you how. Because everything in UK is almost, not everything, but almost automated. I have traveled almost 2 hours to get to the studio, and my trip to the studio can be traced back because there's what I called, I've left a footprint. If anything happened, the footprint that I left can be traced back, and somebody can say, I am sure I saw this young man sitting on the overground on his phone with his newspaper. I love to read the paper. You know, as a journalist, you must read and know what is happening in your surroundings. So if you live in UK, you're likely to get Metro, and it's all about Charles State debut, the King's speech. Remember that the King had a speech yesterday at the state opening. So I might tell you a little bit about that when we get to the Yoruba Nation conversation. So I am someone that loves to have my newspaper each time I travel on the overground or anytime I'm traveling on the local, on the public transport. But one thing I am concerned is that many Nigerians do not know who is who, and that is becoming a time bomb. Let's go into this. On October 29, Ade Folalu was found slaughtered in a residence in Bioko area of the town. Police authority in Niger State have arrested the prime suspect in the killing of the Federal University of Technology Minna lecturer, Dr. Fumilola Adefolalu. You will believe and think that a doctor, I don't know how she got this house help, but if there was a way that she could vet, first and foremost, should we have a 14-year-old to be used as an house help? You can see the catalog of the problem in Nigeria. 14 years old being used as an house help. Babara Ifeolu Ajagbe says, let us end Nigeria because Tinubu has not spent a year on the throne and the Fulani terrorists are still killing before it gets worse. Let us end it now. Alaja Aranu says, a very sad story. Mr. Joseph says, those northern people don't know how to rule a country because they believe in government money, in government house, so we need Yoruba nation. I am this Silver Badmus. Good evening to you. I am actually now discussing. Good evening to you, Mrs. Comfort Ologunja. Once again, shout out to all our listeners and viewers on the Star Radio UK network as we continue to tell you what is happening. Alao Baba, good evening to you once again, says that is why they always give advice to their citizens, and I'm sure he's talking about what happened with the America a lot. Let's talk about this 14 years old that end up becoming a murderer. She killed a lecturer. The question is, who and how did this lecturer happen to have a 14 years old as an house help? I cannot sit here and blame her because many of us have done the same thing. We have literally used underage as our support system in the house, especially when they're bringing them from Tokpa, those areas, especially, most of them come from Togo, Benin Republic. Child labor. Mr. Femi Kasali is reminding me that that's a child labor. So I am not here to defend the 14 years old for killing a doctor that is a lecturer at the Federal University of Technology, Minna. That is part of the problem that the Borno State governor says, and I quote, that Nigeria is a potential time bomb as recruitment ground that is not meant to be there is now there because we have open IDP camp that the Boko Haram are now using as, imagine that many of you wants to get to UK, and please, I have a case in my hand that has come to our desk. Those of you that wants to travel out of Nigeria, please make sure you do due diligence. I can confirm that there's a case in front of me. A young man in Nigeria has paid 9.5 million naira to another man in UK. I would not want to say he has been scammed, but after after 9 months, there's no COS and there's no money returned back to him. Please, those of you in Nigeria, I know things are hard, things are very difficult. Like I said in my quote here, difficulties that seem like giant obstacle to you are pebbles to God. A case has been reported to myself that we are still trying to see if we can sort it out without bringing it into the limelight and expose this individual. 9.5 million was paid and there is no COS. Please be very careful. These individuals have shared the receipt with me and the UK bank account that the money was received by the end, and I've spoken to the end person, but I'm still doing a follow-up to that. This is what I deal with on a daily basis. So many problems, but we leave that, we come back to that. Mr. Rokoso Shegun, good evening to you. Mrs. Grace Olushoto went ahead and said, and I quote, we must stand up now and do what is expected of each and every one of us, not just lamenting and talking online alone, but action is needed. People might say, what kind of action? We must ask questions from our representatives. Good evening to you, Mrs. Comfort Adeleye. Once again, I say good evening and welcome to Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Bear with us. This is Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'm currently in the studio. I'm right in the studio. Send a message. Once again, a very good evening and welcome to those of you that have joined us so far. Bear with us, those of you that was just a call coming through. So I want to go back again to security in Nigeria. There's different security that you have to be concerned about. Shout out to you, Okoya Folayan. If Nigeria do not divide with the play Yoruba nation we want, we must do everything possibly best to continue to enlighten and educate. But we are not here to force anyone to believe in the right to self-determination, but we are also asking the question, what needs to be done? What do we need to do more right now when it comes to the insecurity in Nigeria? What should we be doing more? Are you concerned as a citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Or should we say, when the Borno State governor says, and I quote, the position of Borno State on the map of Nigeria is very important to all of us. Borno State is bordering the Chad, Cameroon, and Niger Republic. Remember that the federal government or Nigeria, quote and unquote, and the ECOWAS do not have a relationship anymore with Niger Republic. Our borders are so porous. I have talked about it continuously. Mr. Peter Pan says, thank you so much, Mr. Koiki. Please share the energy drink or the food you ate that give you this strength and dedication. I wish I have an energy drink. I don't. You are all my energy. Each time I go out there and I perform what I do, it's because a lot of you that are watching and listening to us gives that energy. I have literally traveled 2 hours to get to the studio. It's a long journey. And I might still have to do another 2 hours returning back home. Hopefully, I will have a vehicle that can cut that journey a little bit. But for now, we have a very strong, robust road network and a public network in UK that can take you from point A to B. We hope it's going to be the same thing in Nigeria, but it is not. And the reason for that is, for more than 24 years or 23 years of democracy, many investments in infrastructure have not been conducted. So that literally means that many Nigerians, good evening to you, boss, and welcome once again to many of you that have joined us so far. And I am still here with you at 15 minutes past 7 p.m. or 15 minutes past 1900 hours. Let's go straight and listen to this again.
This is Star Radio UK.
All around the world. Are you ready to turn it up?
Are we ready to turn it up?
Are you ready to turn it up?
Shout out to you in Lagos Island. Shout out to you in mainland Surulere. Yemi Fatoke, my Egmont. I say shout out to you once again. And again, once again, to those of you, Mrs. Abosede says the Lord is your strength, and thank you so much.
Welcome.
Olamilekan Olusha say good evening to you. Good evening to you, Chief Kende. Good evening to Iba Gani Adams, Logan Fell, and this is for you.
Welcome.
Shout out to Agbekoya. Shout out to OPC. Shout out to also our own father, Chief Banji Ayiloge.
Welcome.
It is still.
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
In your car,
at work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
You can listen to us on the smartphone. You can listen to us on all the platforms. My name is still Olayomi Koiki as we continue to update you what is going on in Nigeria. The discussion tonight, Mrs. Modupe Bello, good evening to you, and shout out to those of you. Keep the comment coming. Be rest assured we're going to pick on that. I'm going to move a little bit away from the security right now, and we go straight into the economy. I always love to move with my specimen dollar. I mean, it's an original, it's not a fake one. How much is the currency today? How many of you can tell me how much is the exchange rate? I know some of you have sent money home from Canada. Mrs. Kemi Wale Olaiton, shout out to you. And the rest of you that have joined us. Mr. Moa Oludare JP. I met a brother that we traveled from Woolwich on the bus 53 heading towards Houston, and he had a privilege to speak to Igbowo through the video call. He was excited. Shout out to Ilano US, shout out to Ilano America. I'll be telling you everything you need to know. Mr. Max Steven, good evening to you and welcome once again. How much is the exchange rate? Alex Mamo, shout out to you and welcome to you as well. Mrs. Comfort Adeleye says, may God continue to guide and protect you, and the same goes to each and every one of you. Mr. Adedokun Ade Elijah says, it is going to be too bad for us if we drop Yoruba Nation because of Yoruba president, and you're quite right. We must not do anything to stop the campaign. We must this is even the time that we need to increase the tempo. Okoya Folayan says, Koiki, we are waiting for your Yoruba Nation radio. When is it coming out? I'll be telling you everything you need to know at exactly almost 30 minutes when we have 1 hour, a sponsor program from Ilano Omo Odua. So keep an eye on that, and I'll be telling you what is happening with the Yoruba Racial Radio, what is happening on the Yoruba Nation, what you need to know, and what we need to be doing more when it comes to this movement as well. I've now been told that a pound, I don't have the original pound, maybe somebody will say, Koiki, I'm going to give you £10 every time you're doing your program. I don't like this one that you're using. Use the original one. This one was given to me by my children, and this is the currency in UK. Is a specimen, and you know the naira today is now competing with the pounds. That means that the £1 out of these, this is £15. This is 1,000 naira, or we can say 1,500. That means that I need to have almost 1,500 naira to get a pound. I'll probably get 150 naira as a change. I don't know what I can do in Nigeria today. So you can see that the economy of Nigeria is not doing very well, but the president says he's doing everything possibly best to protect the Nigeria economy. So we're going to go straight into some of the news headline from the business. The naira slide just under. So it looks like, you know, this is what the dollar and the naira is right now. It is almost competing under just 1,000 naira to a dollar, or you might just add another 80 naira. So today, as at the 8th of November, naira slide further to $1 to 1,080 naira. Many Nigerians might say that, why do we need a dollar? You know, we don't need a dollar. Yesterday, I was giving you the statistics of what Turkey is making when it comes to their export. President Bola Tinubu is on his way to Saudi Arabia. We need the oil money, even though we have the oil as well, but we've not been able to use and make advantage of the oil. I'm not sure why we have a Kaduna refinery that cannot refine the Nigeria crude oil. We have to now import crude oil from Venezuela and Saudi Arabia. I'm not too sure what discussion is going to come between President Bola Tinubu and the Saudi Arabia when it gets there. But I can tell you that in 2021, Turkey actually did what we call a total export of 234 billion US dollars. Remember that this is a population of less than 85 million. Mr. Oladele, good evening to you, and let's see what you're saying right there. You went on further to say, Mr. Koiki, mo kí yín sà, ẹ kú ètò kò ní bàjẹ́ fún yín láéláé ní àṣẹ Lédùmarè. Àmì bí ọ̀tá fẹ́ bí ọ̀tá kọ̀, Yorùbá nation máa dúró ní àṣẹ Èdùmàrè. Àmì nítorí náà Yorùbá nation now, no going back. I think my Yoruba is getting very better, and I like to appreciate each and every one of you that keep testing me. You keep putting that Yoruba there. Abdul AMG Auto, it's been a while, my brother. Thank you so much for joining us. Mrs. Joke Adelanke Iyabo Timothy Tawoto Odaruko, welcome on board. In 2021, Nigeria as well, a country with 213 million, was unable to do much, but within Africa, he has done his best as the giant of Africa. 57.7 billion was the total export Nigeria did, and out of that, 41.8 billion was for the crude oil sales. So you can see that we have a generation of Nigerians that are coming out of university, technical school. Some of them are very good, but we do not have what it takes to produce anything. And that means that this new administration thinks that what needs to be done is, let us first remove the subsidy. And that is exactly what they've done. Shout out to those of you in Abeokuta, Iyajagun, shout out to you. Comrade Sholako Boroko, shout out to you. Mr. Oladele Amudu Israel, shout out to every single one of us, especially those of us that are now saying enough is enough. Self-determination is not a crime, and I'm going to be telling you more about that in just about a few minutes. So these are some of the headlines coming from the business sector this morning, or this evening rather. NPA, the Nigerian Port Authority, plans a $1 billion port rehabilitation. Mr. Taiwo Banuso, I love that DP because it reminds me of Alhaji Adisadogon, and we're expecting President Bola Tinubu to look into what took place at the residence of Dr. Oloye Igbowo, where two innocent Nigerians or innocent Yorubas were murdered, and the dead bodies have been removed since 2021. 2 years down the line, the DSS has still not tell us where the body is. They have not disputed not killing someone, but the question is, we need the body so that they can be ready to be fully given a proper burial. So President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we're saying to you, let us ask question. Where is the body of Alhaji Fatai and Adogon? Mr. Taiwo Banuso went further to say, enough is enough, self-determination is what we want. Keep the comment coming. Oladele says, a thumbs up to me. And Mr. Samuel Olayomi says, a country without a vision or direction. And that is a big problem. And I think what Bola Tinubu is trying to do right now is to stabilize the fluctuation between the Naira and the dollar. The Naira devaluation boosts government revenue by 713 billion. Federal government solicits private sector collaboration on the LPG used. Communication Ministry secures $1 billion funding for tech. What kind of tech? NNPCL unveils new crude grade ship that is about 1.9 million metric in October. There's an ongoing war between Dangote and BUA. I'm not too sure why. Over $700 million remain trapped in Nigeria foreign airline. Maybe I should talk about that. Many of us will be planning to travel over the Christmas time. Mrs. Abose, they say, so they can buy luxurious cars and can't repair all the refinery. What a government. Do you know that this government have saved 1.45 trillion naira from the subsidy? 1924, it is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, and I say,
This is Star Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Are you ready to turn it up? All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
it is called the Star Radio UK every Wednesday, Niger Voices, and this is how we do it from the studio, and I'd like to appreciate everyone that have joined us so far. Let's come back again. I'm going to come back to the federal government have saved almost 1.45 trillion. Nigerians are asking, where is the money? If the government have saved that amount of money, the question then is, where is it? Why is the money not being used, to put into the economy, put into the hands of Nigerians, and maybe many Nigerians tonight would have the privilege not to be hungry? Mr. Taiwo Adebayo said, God continue to empower you, sir. Thank you so much. Many Nigerians are ready to work. Many Nigerians are ready to survive, but they need the support of the government. They need the government to be able to stabilize the security that we talked about in the first hour of the program. They need the government to talk about the electricity. We are consuming a lot of electricity this evening, and that literally means that without this electricity, I would then need a better past my neighbor. Mr. Joseph went further to say, Nigeria cannot produce anything when there is no electricity. Go to Ikeja Industrial Estate, Agedengbe, no electricity city, Dunlop and Michelin and Nigeria Taxa Mill have all packed up. And the reason why many of them have packed up is because there is no constant electricity. Sharp Boye, good evening to you. Ola King _ more money. There will be more money in our hand. Mrs. Busola Olowoeye Ayodeji, good evening to you. Mrs. Temitope Olua _ Modupe, and welcome to those of you that are right here. On the 2nd of December in UK, there's going to be a Yoruba Day. We expect many of you to attend. In America, there's going to be a similar thing as well on the 3rd as well. This is still the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London, and my name is Olayomi Koiki. I want to go into why we have 700 million that is trapped in Nigeria foreign airline. Foreign airline have disclosed that 90% of their $783 million at trap fund have not been paid. So what is happening is, when you're in Nigeria, you buy a ticket, you are paying with the naira, and the government is meant to pay back the airline in dollar. But the question is, do we have enough foreign reserve when we are not producing anything in Nigeria? I told you that Turkey has been able to export goods worth $234 billion in 2021, as against Nigeria that could not do similar, even though we have the numbers. Nigeria is about 213 million according to the World Bank, but we are unable to push that number and make it to transform into enough dollar, and that would then help many of us across any part of Nigeria today. So we have 774 local government, 36 states, including the FCT, but nothing has been done in the last 24 years to push and drive Nigeria. And this is the reason why some of us have now rise up and say, maybe in the best interest of everyone, we should dismantle, saw, or dissolve, or this union called Nigeria is no longer visible for many of the Yoruba people, the Hausa and the Igbos, because many of us are now struggling. So I am asking again tonight, who should we blame for the current state of things in Nigeria? Prophet Emmanuel says, pray for Imo State, revolution might begin there on Saturday. Why? Because there's an election there. Wow. What is going on in Nigeria is just too much. Once again, this is still Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Niger Voices on Niger Voices with myself, Olayomi Koiki. As we continue into the program, we're going to be moving straight into the next conversation. And I say good evening to every one of you that have joined us once again. Are you one of those that still believe in Nigeria, and why should you not? Are you one of those that now think that Nigeria is no longer working? If you're one of those, put it in the comment section and let's see what you're saying. Mr. Smith said we should also blame President Muhammadu Buhari, the former president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Olaki _ more money, shout out to you, my brother. We are still live. Kingsley on the Twitter space have just joined us. Good evening and welcome to all the Biafrans. And as we continue to say, the right to self-determination must be respected by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So many airlines, according to the airline, stated this during a stakeholder forum convened by the Minister of Aviation and the Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, in Lagos. And what are they saying? The airlines are complaining that we can't access our money. Where is our money? The chairman of the international airline operator, Mr. Chima Kingsley, emphasized that while international banks had received some funds from the Central Bank of Nigeria that only accounted for a fraction, less than 10% of the trapped funds, the bulk of the blocked funds are with the Nigerian commercial banks. The bulk of the money has not been paid. President Bola Tinubu 2 weeks ago had promised to clear the estimated $7 billion outstanding foreign exchange obligations of the federal government on the forex forward contract owned to the commercial banks. And what does that mean? Many Nigerians have the naira in your bank account to the tune of whatever you have, for those of you that have it, but when you travel out of Nigeria, you cannot use your GT Bank, your Wema Bank, your First Bank. They are as useless as tissue paper when they get to Dubai, when they get to America, when they get to Paris, when they get to the European countries or UK, because you cannot spend money using that bank. The bank cannot guarantee you to spend your money when you are outside Nigeria, even up to when you travel to other African countries. The question then we should be asking ourselves is, how much more time do we need to give Nigeria? Shout out to, the sister, shout out to the uncles. And some of you have been feeling my outfit in the last few weeks. If you love it and you want something of such, especially those of us that are campaigning for Yoruba Nation, why not check out the Omoluabi apparel? They have what it takes. I've not put it on tonight, but I can assure you that they have what it takes, including some of these beautiful, lovely cap. Mr. Joseph went on to say, bros, go to international airport in Nigeria, you will see Hausa man that doesn't have education to the foreign exchange. They are the one that destabilize the country Nigeria. I don't believe in Nigeria anymore. How many of you still want us to keep Nigeria is the question. Shout out to you, all our doctors in the house. Yoruba Clubhouse, shout out to you. The Yoruba Nation campaigners, we say shout out to every single one of you. To the Biafrans, we say shout out to you. And also to the Arawa, we say shout out to you. I've talked about the security, we've talked about the economy. Now we're going to be talking about the self-determination, the right of the Yoruba people, the indigenous people, to say enough is enough. Boss says on TikTok, I heard today from Nigeria that things aren't going well around the society in Nigeria. Definitely not. The exchange rate is biting. There's enough money, but unfortunately for years and years, those money have not been spent properly. Abacha took out so much money from Nigeria. Mrs. Abosade says we must blame all the government from being to the end, the Obas, the pastor, the imam. Do you agree? Once again, shout out to Mrs. Mudukwe. Say more show in Latin Nigeria. Wow, I should give you double welcoming. This is for you, our mother, Mrs. Mudukwe Bello Tony. Ilu Nigeria la won wo. Double welcome for you, ma.
Welcome.
This is Star Radio UK.
And that is for you, just a special one. You are the special one. I've been told that Taiwo Adebayo say rice is now 50,000. Shout out to Walata, our Olori Ebi in UK. Let's now talk about King Charles. God bless the king. This is the paper today. And if you remember that yesterday King Charles has made his historical first speech as the monarch at the state opening of Parliament, detailing the government plans that underwhelmed even his supporter. The king's speech, the first by a male monarch in more than 70 years. Remember that the mother of King Charles died last year, and the king is now taking charge, controlling the affairs. The question is, why is our own king and what Bale Yoruba, why they not fit take control of who or what we own on our territory? Kilo shele. Is it because they are not respected? King Charles' first speech by a monarch in more than 70 years, because the Queen Elizabeth died last year, ruled this country for 70 years. Also included promises by the Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to crack down on crime. Remember, we've been talking about the insecurity in Nigeria. We also have enough crime in this country, and I always say to people, take extra precaution, don't get carried away. Also, to ease the burden of the net zero on taxpayers. Many Nigerians will love to pay tax, but the question is, will they pay tax and their taxes are used to fund education, to fund security, and to fund healthcare? Or are they going to pay tax and someone like Minor took the pension and then ran away to Niger until he's brought back to Nigeria, but I'm not sure what is going on surrounding Minor. So these are all the problems currently being faced by many Nigerians, and this is why some of us are now saying that enough is enough. Maybe it is better that we have a total dissolution out of Nigeria right now. The contraction is not going to work. Should we continue in a way that the 1999 Constitution, the most fraudulent constitution that you can ever think of, when some of you says that we should keep Nigeria, the question is keeping Nigeria, and who are we keeping Nigeria for? Why should we keep Nigeria is the question. And if we're going to keep Nigeria, is it for the benefit and the interest of the indigenous people? So every now and then we are saying that keeping Nigeria as it stands right now is no longer visible. We must start talking about the unity of Nigeria. Are we united, or are we also marginalizing each other? All these are questions that need answer. And this is the reason why when Afenifere and the Ohanze says, and I quote, that a restructured Nigeria is in the best interest if we are going to secure and remain Nigeria. Do you think that they are right? Do you think that Nigeria can ever be restructured? What is your take on Afenifere? Let's go back to an article that came out on the 28th of October, literally last month, less than a month. Nigeria's future is bleak without restructuring Afenifere, Ohanize, and others? Do you think that we should restructure Nigeria, or should we stick to the right to self-determination? What is your take on all these? Many African countries or many European countries might continue to tell you that Nigeria is better in one block, but the question is, Soviet Union dissolved, Yugoslavia dissolved, and those countries are doing very well up to date. Should Nigeria break, we will still have cordial relationship, business, trade, and as many international opportunity with countries around the world. And that is why, under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akintoye, in Benin Republic last week, before I come back again to the Afenifere, there was some award that was given. And those award is just to say thank you from the media to individuals that are working behind the scene to make sure that the promotion and the continuation of the Yoruba nation continue. Lara Iditi was a jade ni last week or 2 weeks ago nìyẹn. So ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èyí tí tí mọ bí nǹkan ṣe ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́, a tún sọ fún wa pé Yorùbá country òun nìkan ni àǹfààní tó wà fún wa. Ìyá wa Bọ́lá sọ pé Nigeria ò lè ṣiṣẹ́ mọ́. You are right, Koiki. Nigeria can never work. We have tried to fix Nigeria, but many Nigerians says, try, can't fix it. I am asking again, how much time do we need? Ismaila Rashid Mukisa. Moki gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá, àsìkò tá wà yìí, àsìkò ìlànà ọmọ Oòduà, àwọn ni wọ́n sponsor eléyìí tí a fẹ́ gbọ́ nísìn, and we will try to do translation for the benefit of our listeners that are not Yorubas. Àwọn náà ní ká kéde Yorùbá nation fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pátápátá lábẹ́ bàbá wa Professor Adebanji Akintoye, Oracle himself. Kí ni bàbá Akintoye ń sọ? Bàbá Akintoye ní ká máa rán gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá létí pé àsìkò pé ká kúrò nínú Nàìjíríà, àsìkò yìí gan-an náà ni kò gbọdọ̀ tún di ìgbà míì. Wọ́n náà wọ́n ti sọ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pé Nàìjíríà ò lè ṣiṣẹ́, àmọ́ àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá sọ pé Nàìjíríà ṣì máa ṣiṣẹ́. Gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá bẹ́ẹ̀ ló wá ń kọrin síta, ló ń kígbe, ló ń pariwo ebi, nítorí pé kí ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọ́n rò pé Nàìjíríà máa ṣì ṣiṣẹ́. A máa pa ilé láti tàn míì tí a máa fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ ètò míì ní bíbá, ẹ má bínú ẹ̀yin wa. Mo wá lọ bẹ́ẹ̀, mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí pé ẹ má yẹ kó sú wa, ẹ má yẹ kó rẹ̀ wá fáwa tí à ń polongo Yorùbá nation lábẹ́ bàbá wa Professor Banji Akintoye, lábẹ́ bàbá wa Ìgbòho Òòṣà ìmọ́lẹ̀ Yorùbá, lábẹ́ bàbá wa Chief Banji Ayilóge, lábẹ́ gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n ń gbé ètò kalẹ̀ pé kíran Yorùbá kó lè bọ́ nínú wàhálà àti làkàsìgbò tí a kóra wa sí. Bóyá ká gbọ́ díẹ̀ nínú tí Olúgbẹ̀dù sọ ní bíbáyìí lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ tí mo ṣe ń rí ní bíbáyìí. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ díẹ̀.
Owó Nàìjíríà, ẹ jẹ́ ká bá àwọn sòtọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ èèyàn 200 ń gbà. Ẹ kọ́ máa fún ọ náà kẹ́yìn tó kú dẹ̀ máa lè po 300 200 lọ. Ẹ̀yin náà ti gba sọ́sítì tí ní olúkálùkù ti ṣí àná. Wọ́n náà save 1 trillion níbo náà kò sí. Ṣé 1 trillion ẹ dáwọ́ epo tiẹ̀ padà? Ṣé ó dáwọ́ epo tiẹ̀ padà? Torí kò yé mi bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe jókòó síbi kan náà. Tẹ kọjú síbi kan náà tẹ́ẹ̀rí nǹkan gidi rò, tẹ́ẹ̀rí nǹkan gidi sọ. Ṣé 1 trillion tó gbà yẹn ṣé ó hẹ́pù ìwọ? Ṣé ó hẹ́pù ẹ? Ṣé ó fi oúnjẹ sórí tébù ẹ?
And that is our brother, one of the Yoruba Nation campaigner, Olugbedu. Let's listen to that one more time. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí.
Owó Nàìjíríà, ẹ jẹ́ ká bá àwọn sòtọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ èèyàn 200 ń gbà. Ẹ kọ́ máa fún ọ náà kẹ́yìn tó kú dẹ̀ máa lè po 300 200 lọ. Ẹ̀yin náà ti gba sọ́sítì tí ní olúkálùkù ti ṣí àná. Wọ́n náà save 1 trillion níbo náà kò sí. Ṣé 1 trillion ẹ dáwọ́ epo tiẹ̀ padà? Ṣé ó dáwọ́ epo tiẹ̀ padà? Torí kò yé mi bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe jókòó síbi kan náà. Tẹ kọjú síbi kan náà tẹ́ẹ̀rí nǹkan gidi rò, tẹ́ẹ̀rí nǹkan gidi sọ. Ṣé 1 trillion tó gbà yẹn ṣé ó hẹ́pù ìwọ? Ṣé ó hẹ́pù ẹ? ṣó fi oúnjẹ sórí tébù ẹ̀ wọ́n ní ìdí owó nàìjíríà ẹ jẹ́ ká bá àwọn sòtọ́.
So that is Olugbedu there. Ìbéèrè tí mò ń bi gbogbo wa mo kí n pé káàbọ̀ lẹ́ǹkan ṣe má bínú pé a disconnect lẹ́ǹkan torí pé a fẹ́ gbé nǹkan kan wọlé. But before that, maybe we should go back again and listen to this. When we come back, we'll be talking about most of what we need to know. Ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ sí ilé ká lọ gbọ́ ìkéde ilé nǹkan sí.
Àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá ayé wa òwe. Tẹ́tẹ̀ báwọn lóru yẹ kó mọ̀ pẹ́ dá. Torí ẹni tó bá kọ̀ tí ò dúpẹ́ orí ẹgbẹ̀fà. Irú wọn ti bẹ́ gidi náà orí ẹgbẹ̀je níjọ. Ìdí àti abárè tí àwọn Yorùbá UK Central Office parapọ̀ sàṣẹ̀rò nínú ìmọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ wọn. Tí wọ́n sì ya ọjọ́ kan àrà ọ̀tọ̀ sílẹ̀ fún ìdúpẹ́. Lórí ibi àti bẹ̀rẹ̀, ibi abadé àti ibi tá ń lọ láìpẹ́. Àkọ́kọ́ rú ẹ̀ tí àwọn ìkàn lókọlókọ ọmọ Yorùbá lágbàáyé yóò mọ parapọ̀ fún ọ̀dọ̀ kan sọ wípé Olúwa ó ṣe é. A sì ti mọ láǹfààní láti mọ pàdé àwọn olólùfẹ́ wa gbogbo. Láwọn tí wọ́n jó nígbọ̀wọ́ fún ètò ìdúpẹ́ yìí. Bẹ̀rẹ̀ látòrí Yorùbá UK Central Office fúnra lára wọn gan. Tí wọ́n jó ní nǹkan là ń jọ ṣe. Koiki Media tí wọ́n jágbẹnusọ fún Dr. Sunday Igboho Òòṣà. Gbẹ̀dú magazine ti kan lára rẹ̀. Dr. Sabi Talk Show. Sanfatis FM. Gbọ́ àpapọ̀ Yorùbá World Congress àti Yorùbá World Media lágbàáyé. Ọjọ́ ọpẹ́ lọ́jọ́ àbámẹ́ta lẹ́yìn tó jọjọ́ kejì oṣù kejìlá ọdún tí a wà yìí. Ní Abadasha Action College, Pips Road Side, Pips Road, London, SE14 5SF UK 135 Pips Road, London, SE14 5SF ni ó ti máa wáyé. Bẹ̀rẹ̀ látago mẹ́ta ọ̀sán títí di agogo mẹ́wàá àṣálẹ́ UK time. Ọ̀fẹ́ àti ìrọ̀rùn ní ètò jíjẹ mímu ọjọ́ náà mọ pọ́sí fún wa. Tá ò sì ní gba kọ́bọ̀ lọ́wọ́ ẹnikẹ́ni fún owó ìwọlé. Tó jásí wípé gbogbo ẹni tó bá fẹ́ wá sí bí ètò ìgbà yìí lọ́jọ́ náà ó gbọ́dọ̀ gba tíkẹ́ẹ̀tì wọlé rẹ̀ lórí Eventbrite. Lọ́kàn tẹ́ bá ti tẹ First Yorùbá Community in UK Meet and Greet Thanksgiving. Lọ́mọ láǹfààní àti forúkọ yín àti àwọn tó bá fẹ́ tẹ̀lé yín wá síbi ayẹyẹ yìí kalẹ̀ lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́. Ẹ má gbàgbé wípé ètò tíkẹ́ẹ̀tì wa yìí dá lórí first come first serve. Fún ẹ̀kúnrẹ́rẹ́ àlàyé síwájú sí i tàbí tẹ́yìn gan bá nírànwọ́ tẹ́ fẹ́ ṣe fún wa kí ètò yìí lè wáyé kó dùn kí gbọ́ngbọ́n kan sí i. Bóyá yìí náà sì fẹ́ sọ kéèsì bísínẹ́sì tètò náà bá ń lọ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́. Ẹ lè fàtẹ̀jíṣẹ́ sọwọ́ sí wa látòrí ímeèlì wa.
bcco@yugb.com àbí kẹ́pẹ̀ wá lórí 07371128812. Àkànnà ní ẹlẹ́pẹ̀ 07314016260 àbí kẹ́pẹ̀ 07760986460. Ọjọ́ ìdúpẹ́ ọjọ́ ayọ̀ gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá lágbàáyé. Yorùbá wọ́n lè yà wọ́n kéde lórúkọ gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá lágbàáyé. Ọmọ alájà ló ń jẹ́ sí.
And that is what is going to be happening. Yakubu Aziz, shout out to you. Yawa Bolu Atife Ekabo sórí ètò náà. Yawa Rukaya àtọmọ́ òun kì í. Bó máa ń kí gbogbo ẹni tẹ̀sán darapọ̀ mọ́ wa orí ètò.
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
In your car, at work, on your smartphone. The best radio show. The best radio show. All around the world.
A ṣì wà lórí ètò Star Radio UK ní aago mẹ́jọ àṣálẹ́ ló fẹ́ lọ lù níbi tí a ti ń polongo Yorùbá Nation. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ èèyàn ti ń bi wá wọ́n ní Mr. Koiki níbo ni rédíò tí wọ́n ń polongo yìí ìgbà wo ló máa dé gangan ìyẹn rédíò unit gangan tí a ti ń rí ìpolongo ẹ̀. Rédíò yẹn wọ́n ní ó wà ní in production àmọ́ tí ẹ bá fẹ́ gbọ́ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ tẹ bá ti lọ sórí Facebook ẹ lè mú the frequency a máa sọ kí ni frequency tí ẹ ti láǹfààní àti lè lọ wo nǹkan ṣe nípa ìyẹn rédíò yẹn ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ ìyẹn fún gbogbo ẹni tí ó bá ti ń tẹ̀lé wa nígbà tá a ti ń polongo pé rédíò Yorùbá Nation ó ti pọ̀ lọ pẹ́rẹ́pẹ́ bá ṣe ń bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ tí ẹ lè download the apps ẹ̀ ìyẹn lórí App Store. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn tí wọ́n gbé ètò yẹn kalẹ̀ a máa dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tó dáwó ní ọdún méjì sẹ́yìn pé kí wọ́n fi gbé rédíò náà jáde. Rédíò tí à ń sọ yìí kó lè bá yé wa dáadáa torí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ wọ́n ń béèrè àwọn ìbéèrè méjì mẹ́ta pé kò tí ì yá wọn tó. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ ní ọdún méjì tí a jáde pé a máa gbé rédíò kan jáde tó máa dún ní gbogbo ilẹ̀ Yorùbá fún àǹfààní àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá. Mo kíyàwó Adiat Ọ̀dẹ́wálé ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò. Mo kíyàwó Alájà Bàrúwá, mo kí Alájà Adéyẹyẹ, mo kí gbogbo àwọn Muslim Association of Nigeria, mo kí gbogbo àwọn Christian Association of Nigeria náà ní UK pé ẹ bá wa máa béèrè lọ́wọ́ ara yín pé ṣé bí wọ́n ṣe ń pa àwọn Kristẹni bó ṣe ń pa mùsùlùmí ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ náà la ṣe ń pa wọ́n náà ní UK níbí báyìí we live side by side ìlú tí mò ń gbé yìí àti kìrìsìtẹ́nì àti mùsùlùmí gbogbo àjọ ń ṣe làjọ ń pàdé mo dẹ̀ rò pa máa ń tutọ́ síra wa lára tí ẹ bá fẹ́ wá mọ̀ nípa Yorùbá Nation Radio and TV lákọ̀ọ́kọ́ ní ọdún méjì sẹ́yìn tí a jáde tí a náà fẹ́ ṣe rédíò ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọmọ Yorùbá wọ́n kówó síta wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń dáwó náà wọ́n dá dáadáa nígbà tá a gba owó náà níbi tí a rò pé owó yẹn máa láǹfààní àti ṣiṣẹ́ ní tó yẹ kó ṣe wọ́n padà wá wọ́n ṣàlàyé fún wa pé nígbà tá a bá ti ṣe rédíò yẹn a tún máa sáfìsẹ̀ èyàn lọ gbé padà lọ bá ìyẹn alàgbà kan tí a ń pè ní Professor Wálé Adéníran ló bá ní ìgbẹ́ngbọ̀n òun máa yàgbẹ́ sára ló bá da gbogbo ẹ̀rú ló bá sọ pé owó tó tún béèrè yẹn ó mà ti pọ̀ ju owó tí wọ́n náà fẹ́ fi ṣe rédíò náà lọ èmi àwọn máa bí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pé ǹjẹ́ ilé yín ǹjẹ́ ẹ̀ ń lò nǹkan kan tó yẹ pé ẹ rà ẹ̀dẹ̀ ṣe ń sáfìsẹ̀ ẹ̀yin náà béèrè lọ́wọ́ ara yín tábà ní a fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan tó dẹ̀ sọ pé ó sì máa nídìí pé kọ́ sáfìsẹ̀ ní every month gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ṣe ń ra internet sórí mobile data wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí a ti ṣe ń sanwó ilé ta ló ń gbé ní ilé yìí kódà bíyàn bá kọ́lé ẹ̀ ṣé wọn náà ló máa gbéná síbẹ̀ tó bá tẹ̀ lo solar panel nǹkan kan wà tó máa service wọ́n jẹ́ kí ìrìn àjò rédíò yẹn wọ́n jẹ́ kó dáwọ́ dúró fún bí ọdún méjì àṣé bàbá yẹn ò tẹ̀ ní kankan tó fẹ́ ṣe ju pé wọ́n ràn wá ní àwọn ọba àtàwọn olóṣèlú pé kó wá wà pẹ̀lú bàbá Akíntóyè Ọlọ́run ló ní kó pa bàbá yẹn gbogbo ẹ̀ náà láti gbọ́ káàkiri gbogbo oríṣiríṣi ibi ètò tá ti gbọ́ ìyá mi Sanjo Beauty Air ṣé wọ́n mú díẹ̀díẹ̀ mo kàn ń jẹ́ bàbá mi Bóyè káàbọ̀ sórí ètò mo kàn ń jẹ́ ká rántí padà níbi tí ọ̀rọ̀ rédíò yẹn nígbà tí ó ń bọ̀ kó tó di pé ó dánu dúró kò wá sí project náà lágbàáyé yìí tí owó bá tuntun padà dé project yẹn máa kick Crossrail nílùú yìí wọ́n ti ń ṣe nísìn owó tí wọ́n náà máa fi bẹ̀rẹ̀ kọ́ ló fi ń parí ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ nísìn wọ́n tẹ̀ ti parí ẹ̀ àwa dúpẹ́ pé àwọn ọ̀jọ̀gbọ́n bíi mélòó kan àwọn wá pe ìpàdé pé rédíò tó ń ṣe lọ nígbà yẹn níbo ló bá dé nítorí pé wọ́n ti san àwọn owó kan sí ibi tó yẹ kó sanwó sí lótìtọ́ rédíò yìí kò sí lórí FM frequency màá dẹ̀ ṣàlàyé ìdí tí kò ṣe sí nínú FM frequency torí pé ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ níṣẹ́ yìí tá a máa tún sórí FM tá a máa gbọ́ ni níbi tí technology délé ní tí ẹ bá ṣe FM frequency sí ibikíbi tẹ bá gbé sí ìjọba Nàìjíríà àwọn náà láǹfààní London the Nigerian NCC àwọn náà lè mọ ibi tó wà kọ́ dẹ̀ ṣe kí ni kọ́ lọ síbẹ̀ àwọn tó bá níbẹ̀ wàá gbé wọn mo kí Alhaji Sanusi ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò tó bá dẹ̀ gbé wọn gbogbo alamọ tó tún lè ṣẹlẹ̀ owó tẹ bá ná wàá destroy ẹ̀ nígbà tá a fẹ́ gbé rédíò yẹn jáde ìta sọ ni pé kọ́ ṣe ní ti satellite tó máa bá shortwave wá ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ lè máa mọ̀ máa ṣàlàyé fún yín lálẹ́ yìí nítorí pé àwọn tó ṣì ń lo shortwave wọ́n pọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ màá dẹ̀ ṣàlàyé fún yín ìdí tó ṣe ń lo shortwave ìdí tó ṣe ń lo shortwave ni pé kò síbi tí kò ní dé kò síbi tí kò ní dé BBC has maintained a worldwide network ẹ farabalẹ̀ kẹgbẹ́ bíbá of shortwave relay station since 1940 ẹ ṣe gan-an Alhaji Sanusi so ìtorí pé a ti use mọ́ nǹkankan kò mí pé a lè lo nǹkan míì tó bá jẹ́ pé yẹn ló máa rọrùn láti fi gbá mẹ́sẹ̀gì tí a ń ṣe lórí ìrìn àjò yìí àfi tó bá yẹ pé irọ́ la gbé dání nígbà táwa bá wa tó ṣàlàyé gbogbo ilé ìfẹ́ mi nígbà táwa ní Nàìjíríà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá wọ́n ṣàlàyé pé tá a bá máa ṣe rédíò nǹkan báyìí ọ̀nà báyìí la máa gbà àwọn kan ní ẹ̀ ṣe gbé lọ sí Benin Republic tó bá dáa gbé lọ sí Benin Republic pẹ̀lú gbogbo tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Benin tí ó yé wa pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ bàbá wa Olóyè Ìgbòho kí lè rò pé máa ṣẹlẹ̀ wá ní a ti ń plan kù gbogbo yẹn làwa ti wò nígbà tó ti sọ fún wa pé bẹ́ẹ̀ bá gbé dé Benin náà Nigerian government ó ní right láti béèrè lọ́wọ́ Benin pé nǹkan kan ń dún látọ̀dọ̀ yín yẹn tí àwọn òfin máa gbọ́ Benin dẹ̀ máa ṣe kí ni wàá ṣe tó yẹ kó ṣe láti ṣe ìwádìí lé lórí gẹ́gẹ́ bí wọ́n ti ṣe ṣèwádìí náà fún ọ̀rọ̀ bàbá wa Olóyè Ìgbòho tó dẹ̀ rí pé kò sí kankan níbẹ̀ ju pé bàbá yẹn ó fẹ́ gbabẹ̀ kọjá ni so mo kàn ń ṣàlàyé fún wa pé ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ṣì ń rò pé bóyá shortwave yẹn kò ń ṣe tán lò mọ́ láti 1940 títí di bí ṣe ń bá yín sọ̀rọ̀ BBC ṣì ń lo shortwave. Kí lẹ rò pé ṣe ń lo shortwave? Ṣèbí BBC ní BBC FM, wọ́n ní digital media wọn, wọ́n ní online wọn, wọ́n ní gbogbo platform, àmọ́ wọ́n ṣì ń lo shortwave. Ǹjẹ́ lọ́jọ́ iwájú ǹjẹ́ àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá náà lè lò pé ká sì máa lo shortwave kí ìran Yorùbá lè máa gbọ́ pé ìran Yorùbá ti dá dúró gẹ́gẹ́ bí orílẹ̀-èdè kan? Bọ̀ nígbà tí nǹkan ọ̀bá yé àwọn èèyàn, kàkà kọ́ béèrè pé Mr. Koiki àtẹ̀yìn tẹ́lẹ̀ fẹ́ ṣe rédíò yẹn nígbà yẹn kó tó di pé àwọn ọ̀kan ló wá ṣe alágbàtọ́ ẹ̀ ṣé Yorùbá yẹn ṣó lọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Àwọn bàbá wa kan àtàwọn ìyá wa kan àwọn ló wá ná owó tó kù láti jẹ́ kí rédíò yẹn jáde lórí shortwave láti bí ọ̀sẹ̀ mélòó kan sẹ́yìn. Now kí ni frequency tẹ́ bá fẹ́ gbọ́ mo ti sọ lórí apps kan ni mo sọ nísìnyí o lórí shortwave. O bá wa wà l'Amẹ́ríkà kò wá síbi tẹ́ wà lágbàáyé tí ẹ lè gbọ́ shortwave yẹn as long as tẹ́ bá ti ní rédíò tó jẹ́ rédíò gangan tó dẹ̀ sì ń lo shortwave. Tẹ́ bá wá ní rédíò yẹn tó ń lo shortwave ẹ wá lọ fi frequency yìí ẹ mú pen àti paper kẹ́ kọ sílẹ̀. Tó bá wá dijọ́ Saturday tẹ́yìn ò bá wá gbọ́ lórí shortwave ẹ padà wá bí wá pé Mr. Koiki ẹ sọ pé a máa gbọ́ ní shortwave ní within certain hour ni o kò ń ṣe tẹ́ máa lọ tún láàárọ̀ tẹ́ máa ní ẹ̀ tí gbọ́ torí pé satellite wọn agbátẹrù ẹ ṣe gan ni ìyá mi Bolúwa ti fẹ́ àwọn ìyá tó da tó gbọ́ Yorùbá tó máa bá ń túkọ́. Kò ń ṣe pé shortwave yẹn ó cheap. Màá dẹ̀ béèrè lọ́wọ́ yín pé ǹjẹ́ gbogbo wa la lè lo satellite phone níbi tílẹ̀ ṣú lálẹ́ yìí? Ṣé gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tó ń gbọ́ mi lálẹ́ yìí ṣé gbogbo ilẹ̀ lè lo satellite phone tó ń pè ní cellular? Mo rò bẹ́ẹ̀. Bí ẹ máa ń wo movie kò ń ṣe movie àwọn tìtọ̀dọ̀ tiwa tẹ bá ń wo àwọn American movie satellite phone ló máa ń ní ó máa ní wáyà tó máa lọ sókè báyìí. Kí ló tí wọ́n ń lo satellite phone? Ó wà encrypted ó dẹ̀ wà kò ń ṣe tí ìyàn ẹ lè mọ ibi tó ti ń transmit. Ìtọ́ ṣe ń pè ní satellite nìyẹn. Ó lè yàtọ̀ sí mobile phone and I'm explaining this for the benefit of every one of us. Torí pé n tó bá yéèyàn tẹ́ ẹ bá béèrè ẹ máa ṣìnà ni. 1940 ni BBC ṣì ń lo shortwave títí bí ṣe máa ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí. And that is why we must ask question. Voice of America, radio, and all these are still being used. Why are they using it? Because it is a mode of sending signal tí ó máa bypass certain encrypted níbi tó fẹ́ kó lọ. But for the fact that ìṣẹ́ wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ò lè afford láti ra rédíò. In tí a dẹ̀ plan náà tẹ́lẹ̀ ni pé nígbà tá a bá ti ṣe shortwave yìí jáde ní 2 years ago a tún wá gbé rédíò tí ó máa wà embedded pẹ̀lú frequency tí máa fún yín nísìn. So we will have the radio, it would have shortwave, it would have FM. So àwọn ọjọ́ tí ẹ bá ń gbọ́ shortwave ẹ lè tún padà sí FM. Àwa la máa nìyẹn. And it is also downloadable. Àti ẹ̀ ti sọ̀rọ̀ apps nísìn. I'm talking about the actual unit. The apps is just any apps. But nítorí pé àwọn tó fẹ́ dá nǹkan rú 2 years we delayed that project. But wọ́n ní kò sígbà tá a dáṣọ ẹ má bínú ìyá wa ẹ̀yin bàbá wa pé kò sígbà tá a dáṣọ tí à ní rí ibi tó máa lọ. It was a pain for some of us that knew that 2 years by now many of our villages would have been given. I mean, many of you will end up have to buy it by the time it comes out. The unit is going to cost 20,000 naira. I'm sure some of you have seen the advert. That would then make it easy. Kò ní sí pé wọ́n lè gbọ́ because interface ṣe níbi tó ti ń gbé bọ̀ ni pé the moment tó bá ti switch sí shortwave lórí rédíò yẹn it gives them the frequency automatically. Kò ní ìpè wọ́n ṣe ń tune ẹ̀. Ó tún máa ní other things that comes with it. I'm sure some of you have seen the advert. So the shortwave as we speak tonight on the frequency 17735 KHZK, and that is between 8 p.m. New Yoruba time till 9 p.m. Monday to Sunday. And like I said, it's because it is expensive. And one FM is not expensive. Those ones are very cheap. But lọ́jọ́ wájú tá bá ti ní space tiwa ta ní territory wa, we will have FM Yoruba radio that will be sending messages every now and then by the government. Kò ń ṣe dandan ní kẹjọ́ kò náà tẹ́ bá ti sun ẹ̀ pa fóònù ẹ̀ kọ́lẹ̀ máa sọ fún àgbẹ̀ àwí dàn. Lẹ́ǹkan sí, this is something that many of us must understand, that work is in progress. So that is on that with the radio, and we're expecting that the production, from what we are told, will be out very soon. And when it's out, anyone among us can end up buying it as well. Now, let's come back again to Afenifere and what are they saying. But before we go to Afenifere, I want to remind us of what Professor Adebanji Akintoye said. I have to go back and look for that video. It's almost some month back. I'll probably see if I can get the month itself. This was 2 months ago. It's just to remind us the history that was removed. The history. 8 p.m. local time in London, as we are still on the.
This is Star Radio UK.
Lórí ètò Star Radio UK náà la ṣì wà ní aago mẹ́jọ fílọ́ọ̀lù. Tó bá di aago mẹ́jọ àbọ̀ ni a máa mú ètò ìwá sísàlẹ̀. Mo kí bàbá wa Adérẹ̀mí Àlàbí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, and many of you should also go and when you download the apps, that one runs from Monday to Sunday, the apps one. And I think I have it here. Let's see if I can go into it. I hope I've not deleted because, okay, if not, okay, what I'll do, I'll go back again on the App Store here, and I'm going to download the Yoruba Nation Radio. We also have the Ilano that have also done their own radio. Is an online version, and there's also Ilano Canada. So we now have and the more the merrier. So I'm going to go now and type in Yoruba Nation Radio TV. Remember, there will be so many of them, but the one they need me it only Oriolokun. And as I typed it in, it comes up straight away. Yoruba Nation Radio TV. So what you then do is you click on install, and while that is installing, I will then play what is currently being played. So they have a lot of tracks, a lot of videos that we've done, and they'll be using that to educate us. But Toba Tidijo Saturday, that is going to be a live broadcast between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. And it could be a guest, or it could be Baba Kitoye, or it could be a message that needs to be delivered, and that comes up every Saturday and Sunday, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. for 1 hour. We are also having the Star Radio UK here that is also being used to promote, the self-determination, because self-determination is our right. So now the download has finished very fast, and then I open the apps, and we will listen to something from it just for a few minutes. So you can see that it is loading. So that is the Yoruba Nation Radio fanfane ti downloaded. Mokiyawa Baba Yawade Deji Adebisi. So what you are saying now is that the apps is now finished loading. So what I have to do now is listen. Live radio is going on now. It says Omokaro Jire. So I click on the live, and it is loading already now. It says let app always run in the background. Okay, Arole Odua, Aboru Aboye, Otumba Mukinyi, Ekabosore. So you can see that ele ama ṣiṣẹ́ Monday to Sunday, but over tin di aago mẹ́jọ ẹ wá lọ tún ni ele náà máa pick, but èyí tẹ́ bá ní radio yẹn. This is what we wanted to do 2 years ago. Don't delay. But wọ́n kọ́ delay nǹkan ni. As it says there, difficulties that seems like giant obstacle to you are pebbles to God. What God cannot do does not exist. Baba wa Idowu Samuel Amokinyin interface ní 2 years ago leleyo. Now imagine the timeline that we've wasted because Professor Wale Adeniran refused to allow Rigujaya Amokinyin refused to allow this to go through because only wọ́n tún gbé bíìlì kan wá fáwọn bíìlì yẹn wá pọ̀ rẹpẹtẹ ìgbẹ́ wá gbà wọ́n. And I'm on the Star Radio, and you know what I would have said if I was on the other platform. Ẹ̀ka gbọ́ díẹ̀ sí. And that tells you that the radio for the online version is working. So this is how we will promote the message of Yoruba Nation. This is how Tama pass message from beat to beat, from province to province, from state to state. Because nobody is going to promote it for you. Àwa la gbọ́dọ̀ promote it fúnra wa. Orí Play Store ni mo ti download ilé báyìí nísìn. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ bá ń lo apps, I mean Play Store, Android. And I believe they also have the iOS. I have to confirm that. Ẹ kọ lọ síbẹ̀ ẹ type Euro. Ó gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ ètò ní orí olókun. Tẹ́ bá ní lọ́wọ́ at least lẹ́ǹkankan bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ̀ fi gbọ́nrin. Àbọ̀rọ̀ mi yé nísìn. So bí ṣe ń sọ lọ, it is our job, it is our responsibility. Lótìtọ́ ohun wa pé ká ní FM, but we can't because the government will go after it. So that is about that. Now ẹ jẹ́ ká kúrò lórí yẹn ká wá lọ sí 2 months ago. Emeritus Professor Adebanji Akintoye shared a bit of history with us. Let's listen to that. Once again, if you've just joined me for the first time, I say
Welcome.
Are you ready to turn it up? All around the world.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
My wife and I graduated the same day in Trenchard Hall in June 1961. And actually she took her certificate before mine because she did a degree back into one. I had to one side to our honors history. So he took her certificate, BA certificate, about 15 minutes before mine. A few weeks later, we got married. And when this disaster began to happen, 1959, at the Cocoa Notice, gbogbo pé àwọn British ṣe ń maneuver election yẹn tán gbé return àwọn ọ̀nà post nínú tán ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ láti rí pé nǹkan burúkú ń bọ̀ làwọn àti èmi àtàwọn ohun àti a few people about 5 of us that found that group Student Association University College Ibadan. It's a University of Ibadan, University College Ibadan, 1959. So by 1962, Tuwawa declared war against the Western region, suspended the constitution of the Western region, suspended the elected government, sent Ifawulo to prison, etc. Our decided, okay, now we have to fight back. Àti ìgbà wọn yẹn tí wọn lọ́wọ́ ọmọlú àwọn ọmọdé ni wà. But I found that some group student association that invite me one or two of us, including the very one living in that and in the Christ school. And we got together in 1962 and founded and refounded the Action Group Youth Association, not Student Association anymore, or to go to university, Youth Association. Because the youth association I was leading was the strongest in the whole of the country in Ekiti. They decided the first major congress was held in Adobe. And I was elected vice president of the Action Group Youth Association. Then 1965 came. We had expected that we would get rid of Akintola and put somebody else there as our premier.
But they went on, the Northerners came and rigged the election for him massively. And we said we will not accept. That's when we began to fight. That's when we began. My wife was our women leader. I was vice president. We started to fight in October 1965. And our lives were in danger all the way. On this stage, so a person like me, you're there, like to see look or not. 2 nights ago, in some Belale, couldn't I don't see that now. And then finally, some military boys took over. And I was able to go back to my studies. My wife is telling me, he said, you are telling the story as if it is that easy. It wasn't that easy. Because the day I was returning to the university after the coup, I wasn't sure that they would take me back. Yes, I have done good work and research and so on, but I was afraid. My legs were shaking. I was driving my small Volkswagen car and I was shaking behind the steering because I feared that they've been looking for me. They have sent telegrams to my home in Adevi. They have sent telegrams to my uncle, the way of Adevi, and so on and so forth. But I saw the telegram, but I did not respond. I just kept fighting. But mercifully, they took me back. And I was able to go on and complete my PhD. And became a university lecturer. An assistant lecturer for research, then lecturer, then senior lecturer, then finally university professor. That's where, soon after that, Baba came out from prison. And he was sucked into the Gawan military government. And Baba was am I getting myself? Sorry, Baba. Many of you will cry. Baba had nothing. Thank God, the Mama was there. On Tashoni Bagi. And Mama said to us,
that was 2 months ago, Professor Adebanji Akitoye giving us a background to what took place in 1959 as the British was rigging the election for the northern part of Nigeria. Many Nigerians today are still expecting the best out of Nigeria. Maybe we should remind you of what is happening with the Fulani terrorists in the southwest of Nigeria.
What do you want there? Last time you want shower beauty. Let me say, I'm going to take a look. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to go to the local. When I come to go, I'm going to borrow and come to the local. So tension one day. Monica Mojacalo, I'll be 20. Oh, I look at this. Bread is 2,000 Monica. I'm going to come to my daughter. Come on, family now. I'm just check. I'm a salary. I'm a joke. Wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ sùn wọ́n náà lọ pọ́lísì wọ́n ní kọ́ máa lọ rẹ́gísà síbi kan àwọn tó lọ rẹ́gísà lọ́dọ̀ wọn sáwọn òṣèlú láti jọ yìí nígbà tí kìíní ti ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí ìgbésẹ̀ àwọn náà gbé mẹ́ ó yẹ kí gbogbo àjọ wà lórí fíìdì nìyà àwọn tá àgbówó àwọn à ń pàfọ́ọ̀mù àwọn tí wọ́n yìí ní òkú àti táwọn èèyàn rí gangan I didn't even see their performance at all. It's as if we are just stupid, we don't know what we are doing. But tí ọ̀rọ̀ yìí òun mo yẹ ní kí wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ kí sẹ́ríkì tó sọ̀rọ̀ mo mọ̀ pé díẹ̀ ní sẹ́ríkì aṣọ tí ẹ bá fẹ́ gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ àbí ẹ fẹ́ mọ̀ àwọn àgbààgbà kan sì wà nínú kára yẹn tó yẹ pé wọ́n ń ṣe inside meeting lábẹ́lẹ̀ àwọn àgbààgbà kan sì wà nínú kára yẹn àwọn àgbà yẹn ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn èèyàn yìí mọ̀ pé àwọn ò lè lọ ilẹ̀ haúsá mo ti sọ láàfin rí àwọn ò lè lọ ilẹ̀ haúsá ká máa lọ ṣáyàwó wọn lójoojúmọ́ ká máa rẹ́pọ̀ ọmọ wọn àwọn kí ní tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ń jẹta lè wọ́n fi ọ̀rẹ́ ẹni tó ń gé lórí ẹni tó ń dúnú gbogbo abúlé tó ń finá sí tí wọ́n bí yóò bá kan dá kúrò ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ náà mo tí ò bá yẹ pé mi ti súnmọ́ ọlọ́pàá mo súnmọ́ ọlọ́pàá ni àti pé mo rí kólóyè ìlú ní ni mo ṣe ń kọ̀ọ̀tún ara mi ohun tó ti ṣẹlẹ̀ pẹ̀lú òkú pé mi ti ń rí láti dènà àti sọ́ọ̀dà ó torí tí ìyẹn kọ́ bá ṣẹlẹ̀ sí Fúlàní kan ní ìsìn orúkọ mi ò dàgbà ìjọ ìlú wọn gbọ́ ìjọ àmọ́ tí sẹ́kù Fúlàní wọn gbọ́ wọn ní kọ́lọ́pàá máa wá ní o ìjọ tí ń bá tó bá dé pé owó bá di pé àwọn náà bá ṣéǹdì ojú ìgbà yẹn lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ gbogbo ọwọ́ agbára tí wọ́n lè fi frustrate yẹ tó òfin ní dásọ̀rọ̀ yẹn mọ́ ni wọ́n máa ṣe. So eléyìí ìjókòó tẹ ìpè ní ìjókòó àlàáfíà yìí ìjókòó àlàáfíà kan o àwọn ìjókòó àlàáfíà o àwọn step 1 àwọn ọmọ wọn wà pápá ìsìn wọ́n ń bá àwọn ọmọ wa fà á gangan ẹ pé ọjọ́ ọ̀nà sáìdì nísìn ẹ bèrè ohun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ẹ pé ìgbà ẹ bèrè pé kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ nínú gbówó ńsìn ẹ pé ní aládé lọ ẹni kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ẹ pé tòun pé kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ kí n pé fóònù kan sì ń gbé sí spíkà àwọn náà wà lọ́hùn pé ọ̀dọ́ yìí sìn kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ wọ́n á sọ̀rọ̀ fún mi tó èmi ò lọ́wọ́ púpọ̀ o tí àwọn sẹ́ríkì olúbi.
Well, that is just one out of the so many atrocity being committed. Good evening to you, Alaja Sherifa Agbabiaka Yawa Omoumi. Just raising, welcome to the program. We are almost 17 minutes to the end of the program, right here in the studio on the Star Radio UK network. Babawa Karanwe Abiodun Mukiyawa Yeti Queen Lankonsi, and I say welcome to every single one of you that have joined us and those that will be watching this program later as well.
This is Star Radio UK.
Mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí pé bí a ti ṣe ń polongo fún wa pé kíran Yorùbá kó bọ́ nínú oko ẹrú ẹ má yẹ kó sú wa kò dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ rẹ̀ wá nítorí pé ìran tá a dá ní ìran tí Elédùmarè dá wa àmọ́ àwọn tó ń fìyà jẹ wá àwọn ni olóṣèlú wa tó pọ̀ jù nú ẹ̀.
This is Star Radio UK.
Kò gbọ́dọ̀ sú wa kò gbọ́dọ̀ rẹ̀ wá lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí.
This is Star Radio UK.
Lórí ètò Star Radio UK náà la ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ láti bí wákàtí méjì. Bàbá wa tó ń béèrè pé ṣó wà lórí iOS. Like I said, I am not sure whether they have it on the iOS, but I'll find out. I'll jẹ́ kí ẹ gbọ́. Gbogbo ẹni tó bá wá ní ìbéèrè méjì mẹ́ta, mo kí bàbá wa Táíwò Àlàbí, mo kí bàbá wa Ìdòwú Owólabí, ẹ káàbọ̀ sórí ètò. Mo ṣe ń kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin olólùfẹ́ wa tí ẹ̀ ń bẹ ní ilẹ̀ Yorùbá láti Kogi lọ sí Kwara títí dé Ọ̀ṣun títí dé Ondo. Mo máa kí yín ní Ogun State, mo kí yín ní Lagos State, mo wá kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà ní Òkè Ọya lọ́hùn. Ẹ jẹ́ ká máa rántí pé Òkè Ọya nǹkan ń lọ rẹpẹtẹ níbẹ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí àwọn ọmọ Biafra tí wọ́n ń sọ fún ìjọba pé àwọn náà ń kọ́ o àwọn ò fẹ́ Nàìjíríà mọ́. So gbogbo ẹni tó bá ń lọ sí Òkè Ọya ní weekend yìí èmi á máa sọ pé ẹ jẹ́ kí ó dijọ́ Monday àbí bí ajọ́ Tuesday torí síta tó náà wà níjọ́ Monday. Àwọn Afẹ́nifẹ́re ní kí n béèrè pé Nigerian future wọn ló wà bleak without restructuring Afẹ́nifẹ́re sọ pé problem tó wà Nigeria cannot be resolved. Mo kí bàbá wa Ọláyẹmí Ọlátúnjí, mo kí bàbá wa Ògún Mẹ́fún Dàda, mo kí Prophet John Ogundele, Great Yoruba Nation, African Confidential, mo kí ẹ Kúnlé Bakers, mo kí ẹ Easy Dollar, mo kí gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá àtẹnita rántí àtẹnita rántí, mo kí Chief Mami ilẹ̀ Yorùbá, mo wá kí gbogbo àwọn tí ó jẹ́ ìyàwó àti àwọn ọmọ bàbá wa olóyè Dr. Sunday Adéyẹmọ tí gbogbo wa mọ̀ sí Sunday Ìgbòho Òòṣà. Màá máa sọ fún gbogbo wa pé ẹ má ẹ̀ kó sú wa ẹ má ẹ̀ kó rẹ̀ wá, ẹ jẹ́ ká túbọ̀ máa ṣe kí ni ká máa sọ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pé kí n tó ń lọ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá kò ń ṣọ̀rọ̀ pé wọ́n ń pa wá nìkan nílé, wọ́n ń pa wá níta àwa tá wà níta, because for every time we send money home kò bá nǹkankan mọ́, our people are not having enough to survive. And can we continue in this direction? I don't think so. And maybe I should remind you what the President Bola Tinubu said some few months back.
The cost of fuel has gone up. Food and other prices have followed it. Households and businesses struggling. Things seem anxious and uncertain. I understand the hardship you face. I wish there were other ways, but there's not.
Well, the president said he wished that there's another way, but there's definitely not. Many of you do not know the full anthem of the Yoruba nation. I'm going to play it now, and I want to see how many of you can sing it. This will not happen. Ilẹ̀ Yorùbá tẹ́ kọ́ máa play anthem on play fún wa. It shows that we are lacking so much. I know some schools in Yoruba land in Nigeria Southwest are already playing it, but let us play it for the benefit of our listeners ní àṣálẹ́. Tó bá mọ̀ kọ́ tẹ̀lé mi lẹ́yìn. Orílẹ̀-èdè. Àti bẹ̀rù tẹ̀síwájú ọ̀pọ̀ ire àtòhun tó dára ọmọ Odùduwà lọ sí ipò ìwọ ni ìmọ́lẹ̀ gbogbo adúláwọ̀. Èèyàn mélòó ló sì rántí anthem yẹn àbí ẹ ti fi jẹ ẹ̀kọ́ àtàkàrà. We are just 11 minutes to the end of the program, and maybe we should also remind us of this very eléyìí. You might feel a little bit uncomfortable. I have to advise you before we play it. Our sister that died last year, Bamise Anyanwola. What you're about to listen to was the last audio she had before she was killed on the Lagos public transport known as the BRT. Many of you might have listened to it before. Mukia Taiwo Thomas, Onoshimo Yoruba Nation Ante, Pastor J.O. Ajayi Muki Yoruba World Media, Yoruba Home-Based Media, and all the independent media. It's about 2 minutes 20 seconds. When we play that, we should pray for the family. Anyanwola mother is still alive. Bamise, the father is still alive. We must not allow death to just go away like that. We must continue to ask questions, just like we would love to know what happened to Mohbad. Just like I would love to know what happened to Oyeleke Jumoke that was killed during the rally on July 1st, 2021. Just like Pelumi that was killed during the EndSARS. And many Nigerians, either they are Yorubas, Hausa, Igbos, the genocide going on in Nigeria. This was the communication between Anyanwola Bamise and her friend before she was killed and raped inside the Lagos public transport known as the BRT. Again, we expect the Lagos state governor, we expect the prosecutor to do the needful and let us find the lasting solution and peace to the family of Bamise Anyanwola. Kọ́lọ́run ọba Elédùmarè kó foríjì ọmọ náà, kó bá wa dúró ti mọ̀lẹ́bí tó fi sílẹ̀. Let's listen. This, I'll play the first 32 seconds and then we play the 2 minutes 20 seconds.
Mo ní mọ́tò yẹn báyìí, èèyàn pátápátá ni màmá jókòó sí ẹ̀yìn ọgbà ìlú wà lẹ́yìn. Ṣùgbọ́n orí ìjọba yẹn ló wúlò gbọ́ngbọ́n. Títí orúkọ bóyá nọ́mbà BRT ẹni ẹ̀yìn ìlú. Ṣáná àgbàdo àìsí olùkọ́ alákọ̀ọ́mì ẹ̀fọ́ lẹ́yìn. Má sọ fẹ́ ní gbogbo pé mo yọ̀ sí ìlú Masáré lọ fún ọba àtúrò yìí. Ọmọ wa fi ìṣèlú ṣe yẹyẹ tí kò tó bá ṣẹlẹ̀ ṣe ààrẹ ọ̀gá. Mo ní mọ́tò yẹn báyìí.
Bóyá kò ti mọ̀ kó sọ fún ẹnìyẹn pé kó bá òun blow alarm. Ó ní má sọ fún yàn kankan. Eventually, she was raped. Some part of the body were removed. I'm not going to go into all the details. We can only pray for the family. Now, let's listen to the full version of the video, of the audio.
Náà lọ ṣé bí àwọn tí wọ́n lọ kí ìṣòro ní ṣẹ́gun láti ṣe ìlú.
Ṣé bó ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn kò máa gbọ́n nǹkan tó ń sọ? Ṣé kò dúró ni àbí kí ni? Sọ pé kò drop ẹ̀ náà.
Ó kìí ṣe. Irọ́ náà kò dúró báwo like òun ó dúró gbé mi so kò gbé anybody mi lọ èyí kan ló gbé ọtún àwọn sọ nìyẹn.
ṣó ti wá dúró ṣó ti dúró èèyàn mélòó ló ti wá gbé báyìí.
Pátápátá ni mo wà wọ́n gbogbo fẹ́lẹ̀ dá rẹ̀ ẹ̀yin mo wà tààrẹ pátápátá bò kò lè gbé mi. lọ sí lójú mẹ́rin.
ṣé wọn nìkan lóbìnrin ni àbí obìnrin míì ṣì wà ń bẹ̀ ṣọkùnrin làwọn èèyàn náà àbóbìnrin.
àwa méjì lóbìnrin obìnrin ẹyọ ọkùnrin mẹ́ta.
ok náà mo ti gbọ́ tó máa bá mi sọ̀rọ̀ o láti délé kò jẹ́ fún mi wákàtí bọ́ọ̀lù ẹni mọ́tò yẹn kò jẹ́ fún mi. afọ obìnrin tí wàá dé mo ń pè ó píkọ̀ wáì náà píkọ̀ fẹ́yàn tẹ̀ mọ́ bó ṣe ń lọ.
àní o Jésù ó sì bá lọkùnrin tí o lè fún mi ìyá ṣe pé mo lè pọ̀ nígbà tó ní pé kò jẹ́ bó ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ bí a ti bá ti gbé ìwòrò ètò láti ṣe lọ́sùn pẹ̀lú àbọ̀wọ̀ lọ́sùn.
ok náà mo ti gbọ́ ọlọ́run aṣọ ẹ̀ délé. kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ náà ó píkọ̀ ò dẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ náà ẹ́ afa náà kí ló ń ṣẹlẹ̀ náà ẹ́.
yes ma mo ti gbọ́ ma. Mẹ́ta.
And that is how we lost a Yoruba beautiful sister in the hands of Lagos State transport system. May her soul rest in peace. And this is just to remind you that there is danger in Nigeria. As we leave you this evening, I say thank you so much, Mokibugua. I say thank you so much to all our African listeners around the world, and we hope that you would also join us next week when we continue, the conversation as well. As we appreciate every one of us, let us remind ourselves that nobody is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. Let's listen to this.
I just want to leave you with this thought. The revolutionary government in Niger has just increased the price of uranium that it exports on the world market to 200 euros per kilogram. It was previously paying, or rather charging, 80 cents. The French were getting Niger's uranium for 80 cents per kilogram, and the world market price is 200 euros per kilogram, which is what little Macron will have to pay from now on. You see, it pays to stand up for your rights. That's what the people in Niger have done. Remains to be seen if the people in Nigeria will now do the same.
Do you think that the people in Nigeria will do the same? Time will tell at 26 minutes past, and this is just to cool the tension before we go tonight.
wọ́n ní pé ènìyàn ṣe jọ lọ́wọ́ bá wọ́n ní kò ní pọ́sibú àmọ́ wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ bàbá bá mi sùn wọ́n ní bí ó sì àwọn wípé kò lè pọ́sibú ọ̀rọ̀ ṣì wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ o bàbá bá mi sùn wọ́n ní kò sáyé
Well, we've been listening to.
This is Star Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up?
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7. Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
Moki Yawa Elizabeth Adesanya, Yawa Lajire Koka, Moki Mrs. Janet Fashaki, Moki gbogbo group kankan tó operate, Moki Taiwo, Moki Baba wa Pastor J.O. Ajayi wọ́n ní ó ga ò bẹ́ẹ̀ ni If you listen to that audio, you will cry. I'm going to be giving it back now to the studio to take it up, and then this is going to be the last track. I say Odaro. Good evening to everyone. I'll be back again tomorrow on the morning show with Archie. Archie should be back with us tomorrow, and we hope that everything will continue next week on the Niger Voices, 8:28 p.m. My name is Olayomi Koiki, and this is the last one. As Oloye was celebrating this, we knew that it was exiting Benin Republic to Germany, but many people did not get the code. Well, and that is Oloye Igboho dancing there. He loves to dance, and I leave you now to say next week I'll be back again. Thank you so much, everyone. Bye for now. Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. You can take over now. Back in the production line, I say good night. I'll be back next week, Wednesday.
This is Star Radio UK. This is Star Radio UK.
In your car,
At work,
at home,
on your smartphone.
This is Star Radio UK.
Welcome